Hello, welcome to Just Learn Civil. This is the third tutorial in the contract process. We will learn about bid bond and performance bond and what is the difference between them, when are they required, and who submit this document. We have already learned about the contracting process. Now we will see where bid bond is required and where performance bond is required at which step. So first we identify the project, complete the standard bidding document, publish the tender notice in the newspaper. Here we specify in the tender notice how much bid bond the bidders who apply the bid needs to present. The bid bond can be in bank guarantee or cash. So this is where the bid bond is required. Now after the notice expires, the tender is opened, it is evaluated and LOI is issued. After no claim, LOA is issued. Now once LOA is issued, the successful bidder will have to visit office with the required performance bond. So this is where the performance bond is required. Now we can see the difference is that bid bond is required before contract and performance bond is required while contract happens. Now for the difference we will see in the next slide. Bid bond is the bank guarantee submitted by all the bidders applying the tender, but performance bond is submitted only by the successful bidder who are lowest evaluated and are substantially responsive. So it is applied by only one, but bid bond is applied by all of the bidders who bid. Now bid bond can be in the form of cash or bank guarantee to be submitted to the public entity. While applying tender, performance bond is also the bank guarantee submitted at the time of contract agreement. So this is the difference when they are submitted and who submit them. Bid bond is generally taken as 2 to 3% of the estimated amount as per the PPR, Public Procurement Regulation and Public Procurement Act. Now performance bond is generally taken as 5 to 10% of the bid amount, where 5% in case of national bidding and 10% in case of international bidding. Bid bond is also known as bid security, earnest money deposit, and performance bond is known as performance security or performance deposit. Now bid bond is separated. Bidder submit the bid bond during the bidding process, while lowest evaluated substantially responsive bidder or the successful bidder submit the performance bond during contract. Without performance bond you cannot contract, or also without bid bond you will not be substantially responsive and you will not be considered further in the evaluation process of tender. So these two documents are very much important. Now bid is valid for 90 days when the estimated amount is less than 10 crore, but 120 days when the estimated amount is greater than 10 crore. These are the data from the PPR and PPA. PPR means Public Procurement Regulation, Public Procurement Act. And bid bond shall be valid for 30 days beyond the bid validity period. This is the validity period of bid, the bid which the bidder submit, and the bid bond validity shall be 30 days or 1 month beyond the bid. Performance bond is valid for DLP period and 1 month extra. So suppose you start work at 1st January and end at 31st Baisakh. Suppose you start work at 1st January and end at 31st December, then this is the work period. Now work period plus DLB period. DLB would be defect liability period, which would be 1 year after the work completion and 30 days beyond that. It means when the works get completed you have to make performance bond of 13 months beyond the work completion date. bid bond of all unsuccessful bidders are returned. Suppose there were 3 bidders, only one was selected or one became the successful bidder, then remaining 2 bidders bid bond would be returned. But if the successful bidders don't visit the office on time or says that he cannot perform the work, then his bid bond would be forfeited and the contract would be awarded to the next. Performance bond is returned after the defect liability period. It means 1 year, but its validity is for 30 months if the work is accepted by the public entity. But if the work is unsatisfactory or if the contractor fails to perform the task, then his performance bond is forfeited. Now let us understand bid bond and performance bond through an example. Bid bond, suppose the estimated amount is 50 lakhs. Now bid amount is equal to 2 to 3% of the above. You can round it to nearest 1000 and you may take any percentage, 2.5, 2.4, 2.8, anything, and round it to nearest 1000 or 10 or as you like. So that would be the bid amount and this will be published in the tender notice. Similarly, performance bond, if it is the lowest evaluated bid is 30 lakhs among 50 lakhs estimate, then performance bond would be 5% of the above plus 8% for front loading plus 50% of that bid amount which is below 85% of the estimated. We will see through this example. Later, let us understand what is front loading. Suppose we have a task to erect a column. First we will have to do is excavation. After excavation we will lay column. Now considering only these two works, one is earthwork excavation and the second one is concreting. Suppose this is RCC M20. Now the rate when estimated was for earthwork equals to excavation to be 300 and for M20 to be 13,000. But suppose the bidder would bid the amount like for instead of 300 it would choose 3000 and instead of 13,000 it would choose only 130. So you can see here, suppose initially it consisted of only 10% of the total cost and it consisted of 90% of the total cost, but now you can see in this case this is almost, or suppose it covers 95% of the total bid amount and this will consider suppose 5% of the bid amount only. Now first we have to perform this task, then the concreting can be proceeded. So here after only excavation the contractor will present a bill and take the 95% of the amount, and it is up to the contractor if it does this remaining 5% of work or not. So you can see here only by excavating, not by concreting. The concreting was the main objective, though without concreting the contractor will get almost full amount, and it's upon the contractor if it does this work or not, or when it does, it doesn't matter. The contractor is not at loss but the office is at loss. In this case this is called front loading. It means the task in the front or the first task is given heavy weightage so that the contractor will get most of the amount in the first bill. So this is called front loading. If the office suspect front loading, then the office can ask the contractor to bring the rate analysis. Now if office is satisfied with the rate analysis, the contract can be awarded with 8% of the amount. The 8% will be returned to the contractor after the work is completed. But if the office is not satisfied with the rate analysis, the office can reject that contractor. So this is what front loading is, and 50% for that bid amount which is below 85% of the estimated. We will see this through an example. The performance bond shall be minimum amount equal to, if the contract amount is greater than or equal to 85% of the estimated, then only 5% of the contract amount will be the performance bond. But in case it is below 85%, then by how much below was it, we will consider 50% of it to be additional performance bond. And in case of front loading, 8% of the bid price is also added. Let's see through this example. Bid bond, suppose we have 50 lakhs. This is the estimated amount. Now we need to consider 2 to 3% of, suppose we are considering 2.8%. 2.8%, and this can be in round off. Suppose we have 5, 6. You can round up this value to nearest 1000. This will be our bid bond. It will be published in tender notice. Now the contractor will have to bring the document or bank guarantee or the cash. Now let's see the performance bond. Suppose some bidder, there are only one bidder who shows 45 lakhs. Suppose this is the lowest evaluated bid. Now this is the 5% performance bond. Performance bond. This was the bid amount. 5% of the performance bond is the PV or performance bond. Now we need to check if we require additional PV. To check this, we will have to consider the estimated amount into 0.85. Now see, 85% is 42 lakhs 55,000, but the bid amount is 45,000. Since this is above, the bid amount is more than the 85%, so this will be our final PV. But in case if this was 40 lakhs 60,000, but since our 85% is 42 lakhs, there is a difference between these two, which is 42 lakhs minus 40 lakhs equals to 194. This is the amount which is below 85%. Now we need to consider the additional to be 50% of this amount. Now this is the additional PV. To get the total PV, we will add these both amount. Now this is our final PB, performance bond. The successful contractor need to bring the bank guarantee of this much amount of the PB if it had the bid amount of 40 lakhs. But if the bid amount was 45 lakhs, then they need to bring only 2 lakhs performance bond. Now if the office suspect there is front loading, then additional 8% needs to be acquired from the contractor, and the final bid amount would be, this would be the final bid amount, where we will add 5% additional PB and for 8% for front loading. Now this amount is returned after DLB period, but this additional 8%, this would be returned to the contractor after completing task. This was taken for the guarantee that the contractor would not run away. Like we saw in the previous example of excavation and concreting, the contractor may run away after only excavation. So this will ensure that the contractor wouldn't run away. And after the completion of the task, we don't need this amount. So we will return this to the contractor, but this will be returned after DLB period. You can see the format here of the bid security, bank guarantee. Here in the bank letter pad, the bank will fill all this form: how much bid amount, what would be the date, for how many days it will be valid, it will put its seal, and this document shall be submitted along with the standard bidding document. After issuance of the letter of acceptance, the successful bidder will have to bring the performance bond in this format of the bank, in the letterhead of the bank. Here also the guarantee expiry date will be mentioned, the name of the contractor, the performance bond number, when was it issued, and contract number, contract name, and so on, and finally the seal of the bank. So this is how performance bond and bid bond are differentiated. Thank you for watching. Comment for any further questions, drop a like, share now, click the bell for the notification, and please don't forget to subscribe.